The small and medium enterprises are the bedrock of industrial development in any nation. SMEs provide veritable means of generating employment, providing economic opportunities and promoting sustainable economic development. The growth of MSME with effective and strategic empowerment schemes and support initiatives that can help to reduce poverty, which as at 2020 is over 40% of the population, and 82 million Nigerians living in extremely poor conditions, according to the National Bureau of Statistics figures. Islamic microfinance is a system that follows the teaching of Sharia laws. This is a financial system that does not attract interest, but rather promote the welfare of its members while following the ethical business practices. This edition of the Islamic Finance Weekly will discuss Islamic microfinancing for small-scale enterprises in Nigeria with the founder of Islamic Crescent Cooperative Society Limited, Mr. Shefi'u Badamasi. Mr. Shefi'u joining us from Abuja. Good afternoon. It's a great pleasure to have you with us.
Good afternoon, my sister.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Starting with the issues of financial services and economic empowerment, how can Islamic microfinance be repositioned to address the issues of empowering Sharia-based businesses, thereby lifting millions of people from poverty?
Thank you very much. I think based on the question you have asked, in my view, the best approach, we are to use Islamic finance products for the micro and medium scale industries or enterprises.
Okay.
We have to go to the most suitable product for them, which is equity financing. Okay. This equity financing for micro and small entrepreneurs will make it possible for many micro and small scale entrepreneurs that we have, to make it possible for them to thrive and to grow. And usually this financing is unsecured. There is no doubt about that equity financing is unsecured based on the moral hazard, that is a third-party risk that is there. But nevertheless, the non-bank financial, microfinancial institutions, they are more of these, like cooperatives, investment clubs that are using this Islamic finance products. And the area of concern, which is moral hazard, can be mitigated by doing joint or several guarantee of one people or more than that. That is the group financing. So take, for example, a group of people can come to Islamic Microfinance Bank to seek for this loan or financing. So they can guarantee one another. So with that, we can mitigate that
moral hazard.
It's there. So to me, I think if we want to lift millions of people from poverty, we just have to harness the area of financing, which is equity financing, Islamic finance. And again, the repayments will also be based on weekly, daily, or monthly, or bi-monthly. So from all these entrepreneurs, so it will make it possible for them. Because if you look at the product that the Islamic microfinance banks, the product they are using now is not that friendly to the micro and small scale entrepreneurs. And this is basically caused by the guidelines being set by the CBN of Nigeria, CBN, Central Bank of Nigeria. So, and in achieving this also, I would also like to add to it that the government can also participate in this microfinance. There are structures, even in the CBN guidelines for Islamic microfinance banks. There is a provision there that the government can also fully own a microfinance bank,
Okay.
which can be established by the state or local government. So if they do that, that will assist the micro and small scale entrepreneurs. And by doing that, it also lift many people from the line of poverty. And another model that they can adopt is a public-private partnership model of microfinance. So the government can have shares, a share, percentage of shares in this. Also will not be doing and support the cooperative in establishing this microfinance bank. So the government can do that, and while the operation is going on, the profit and the savings of members of cooperative can be used to pay back the shares of the government. Then by doing that, the shares of the government will now be reducing until all the shares that the government invested in that particular cooperative will become zero, and the bank will then belong to the cooperative. By doing all this, I think that is how the approach I think we can adopt that will reposition the microfinance banking or microfinance institution that we have now to make it more relevant and to make it achieve the objective of alleviating poverty in our society. So the government has its own part to play, and also the microfinance bank also, they will need to redesign and develop some products, especially based on equity financing, so not debt financing. By doing that, I think the microfinance industry will be repositioned. Thank you very much.
Like you rightly said, for the Islamic Microfinance Bank to support Nigerian economy and lift 100 million out of poverty, so there is need for equity finance, there is need for public-private sectors partnership, and there is need for the government to establish Islamic microfinance in the state for the funding. Thank you very much, Mr. Shefi'u, for those insights. So what is the current size of Islamic microfinance in Nigeria in terms of valuation?
When we talk about the current size of Islamic microfinance banks in terms of valuation, I think we are talking about the financial strength, which I think presently we may not be able to ascertain that. The reason being that the Islamic microfinance banks that we have now, which we know, they are still operating under the same license given to conventional microfinance bank. So meaning the regulator, which is the CBN, they don't have separate valuation for them. It's only that although they have separate guidelines, but when they are giving them licensing, it's the same license. It's the same license. Okay, and then if you want to value the size of Islamic microfinance bank, we may need to look at the capitalization of these banks, because we can't identify some of these microfinance bank, Islamic microfinance bank that we have, because they are categorized with others. So, but in terms of the capital base, the required capital base that CBN has put in place, that before you can operate an Islamic before you can operate a microfinance bank, you must have certain amount of money or capital to run it. So, for example, we have Tier 1 unit microfinance bank, which is 200 million now, if I'm not mistaken. Before it was 20 million, then later 50 million, but presently it's 200 million. There is a Tier 2 unit. We also have Tier 2 unit microfinance bank, which is I think that one is 50 million. That is the minimum one can have to establish a microfinance bank. So not to talk about the state, which is 1 billion, and the national, which is 5 billion. So if you look, if we are to look at that area to value the Islamic microfinance that we have presently in Nigeria, we only like in the southwest of Nigeria, which I'm very familiar with. I only know that they have just two microfinance bank. Al-Hayat microfinance bank, which is being operated based on Islamic principle, and Al-Barka in Lagos, Al-Hayat in Ijebu-Ode, and Al-Barka in Lagos. Those are the two I'm familiar with.
Al-Barka Microfinance Bank.
Microfinance Bank, yes. So these two, that is the southwest of Nigeria. So when we talk about the north, there are many there which you cannot even identify because they are categorized together in CBN. You won't be able until when you do research, maybe you go to CBN to know, because the license is the same. So in short, to know the value, we can only look at the capitalization of this bank. But what I want to chip in on this, even looking at the the capital base that is that a microfinance must provide before you can be registered. If you look at it, I want to say the peculiarities of Islamic microfinance is quite different from that of looking at the method of operation. I am the opinion that guiding the Islamic microfinance so that it will make it more vibrant and more effective. Because, like, for example, if you look at the Islamic banks that we have, I mean the deposit bank like Jais and Taj that we have in Nigeria now, if you look at them, they have a special guidelines which is quite different from commercial banks. We will remember that the former CBN governor, what he did is that he put them under the specialized banks.
That was Sanusi Lamido.
Yes, which have provision in the Bovia. So what I'm trying to say is that there must be a consideration or a compromise or concession that the CBN should do to Islamic Microfinance Bank also. Because if you look critically at their operation and that of the conventional microfinance, you see there is different.
So from your point of view, there is need to review Islamic Microfinance Bank guidelines.
Guidelines are, yes, and policies, so that it will suit the purpose based on their peculiarities.
What do you think can be done to unlock more opportunities and deepen its activities in the country?
Like what I've just said now, is one of the points I want to make, that the CBN need to look into reviewing the guidelines and the policies.
The operation of Islamic Bank
or Islamic microfinance.
Over 85% of the MSMEs in Nigeria are operating at the micro business level.
Well, in my view, I think they are not. The present Islamic microfinance that we have, they are not up to that task now. And I don't blame them. There are many factors that led to that. In my view, they are not. Because prior to the development of CBN guidelines for Islamic Microfinance Bank, you see that the CBN had identified like 3 major factors that were affecting or that are affecting up to now the conventional microfinance. One of it is high cost of transactions. And the second one is aberrance of interest, that is the illegality of interest, charging interest, which people are running away from. So, and the third one is apathy to unethical investment by a significant part of Muslim populace. So, with these three, I think that was the reason why CBN also thought it right that they should have guidelines and framework for Islamic Microfinance Bank. So, but they start putting these into consideration when they are making the guidelines and others. I think still there are also areas that the CBN need to look into to make sure that this Islamic Microfinance Bank are really doing what they are supposed to do. Because in that guidelines also, it is there that the target client should include the economically active low-income earners, and also the micro,
small, and medium enterprises,
and the underserved and unbanked people. So if you look at all these categories of people, which is physically challenged, youth, micro entrepreneurs, informal sectors, and so on and so forth. If you look at all these people, they are under these micro and small, medium enterprises.
And they are dominantly Muslims.
But when you look at it, because what we should see is that we should feel the impact of all this, especially Islamic microfinance, in our market, in our general market. The woman that is selling foodstuff, the woman that is selling clothes in the market, they should feel this impact. But it is very difficult for Islamic Microfinance Bank to go into that, based on some of the factors that we've mentioned. So, to me, in my view, I think they are not up to that task for now. They've not been able to really prioritize giving the financing to SMEs or MSME. They have not been able to do that.
So there is need to carry along the low-income earners and those that are financially excluded along with all this. So how will you assess the current regulations developed by the Central Bank of Nigeria for microfinance banks and other financial institutions?
Well, thank you very much for this question. I think my general assessment has to do with the implementation of some of these policies and guidelines by the CBN. That is my major assessment, the general assessment I want to make, that the implementation of the guidelines and the policies, they need to implement it. Because, for instance, one of the objectives of this policy, which is in the guidelines, is that the policy says provision of dependable avenues for the administration of the microcredit programs of government and high net worth individuals on a non-recourse basis. Non-recourse basis. You see, this is one of the objectives of the policy, guiding the guiding the microfinance generally and other financial institutions. But when you look at it, if not now that the government is bringing out intervention and giving it out to microfinance to manage, we've not been hearing anything like that before. Government has not been supportive in terms of giving enough capital or funds to this microfinance to finance the small-scale industries or small-scale entrepreneurs. So if not now, they're doing it. And at the same time, if you look at that, the objective I've just on basis, even when they are giving, finance is a type of commercial lending that entitles the lender to repayment only from the profit of the project. If you look at that one is very, very tally with what Islamic finance principle is saying, that there must be an underlying asset on any project, and that underlying asset should be the one that will pay back. The repayment of any fund should not be relying solely on the person that is using the fund, but rather the project. So, but if you look at the intervention that the government has rolled out now, giving to Islamic microfinance that they should give small-scale entrepreneurs, it is there that they will need to use their deposits with the CBN as collateral. Whereas this objective is from CBN guidelines, which says that which say that without recourse to what? To the collateral of the institution, or the lender, the borrower, the person that you are giving the money. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that there should be a total implementation of what is in the guideline.
You see, Mr. Shefi'u,
Guideline is okay.
Funding is key to the growth of Islamic banks operation in Nigeria, and this is where the government needs to come in and support them.
That is what I'm trying to say. The government needs to come into their aid by giving them more funds.
In addition, what products do Islamic finance institutions?
There are many products that the Islamic microfinance can go into, like that of the equity financing I've talked about. That's Mudaraba and Musharaka. Then another one is micro takaful, that is micro Islamic insurance.
Takaful, Islamic insurance.
Yes, but this one I'm talking about the micro one. The micro one that can insure the products or the commodity or the merchandise that this micro entrepreneur are doing. Because when you invest, then there should be a takaful on it. Yeah. So take for example a woman that is selling clothes. There must be a provision for insuring, which is to mitigate any risk that can come from there. So if there is a provision for them along with the funding, provision of takaful along with the funding for micro entrepreneurs, so it will really assist them. So the microfinance institution, especially the Islamic microfinance institution, they need to look into this also by providing micro takaful for the funding they are giving to micro entrepreneurs.
So what do you think about WAC Islamic crowdfunding, like the WAC Card Hazan?
You mean crowdfunding?
Yes.
Okay. Crowdfunding is okay. Is one of the methods of and I think the investment clubs who are Islamically inclined, they are also using that opportunity. Even the cooperative, because in cooperative we have shares and we have savings. The shares is what we use for investment. So it's also in terms of crowdfunding. So is that investment that we put into any project? It can be estate, it can be real estate, it can be any other project. So crowdfunding is generally, I would say, is also under equity financing.
Yes.
So it's also good.
And this takes me to my last question. This is just personal. So how does the Islamic Crescent Cooperative Society Limited collaborate with the non-interest financial institutions in Nigeria?
Actually, for now, we have our account with them. So we have our account with them. We've been trying to also do what we call syndicate financing with them, but the conditions they are bringing is not that friendly. That when we have a large project that we want to finance, we think we cannot pull all our funds into it. So we ask them to be part of it, to part fund that particular project. But we are still talking to them, Jais and Taj that we have in Abuja. We are still talking to them and see how we can, because that's the only area we think we can benefit from them. Yeah. If we can go into syndicate finance together in financing our members' projects, that are big or relevant projects.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shefi'u. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you very much.
The role of Islamic microfinancial system in the development of MSMEs in Nigeria can be done through Zakat administration, Waqf non-interest financial services, and laying emphasis on real sector development. Waqf card ASEAN can help in reducing poverty, unemployment, mobilize national savings and inequality. Also, Islamic finance has the potential to enhance financial inclusion and provide social capital in the country, while reducing the cost and risk associated with financial transactions. And that brings us to the end of this week's episode. Join us next week for another topic on Islamic finance. For further updates, follow us on our website www.proshareng.com. Also, you can engage us on our social media platform displaying on the screen. Thank you for watching and see you again soon.